Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Checking In. I'm Leon Thomas with Miranda Kitterlin Lynch. Hey, Miranda, how are you?
Hey, Leon, I'm great. How are you?
All is well, all is groovy. In
All is
fact,
good.
let me tell you why it's groovy.
Tell me.
There's just one thing that makes it groovy. On our last episode, I was in the background, kind of playing the role of producer because my allergies were acting up. Right?
Yes.
I was coughing, and later that night it turned to sneezing, and then back to coughing over the weekend. That's the episode with Seema Jane,
Yep.
right, from Seva Global. And you were outstanding as a solo host. It was outstanding. You were so good as a solo host that I say this happens today. And yes, you really did a good job. So thank you for covering for me. Yeah, it was great and a lot of good feedback about your work. So
Well,
thank
Seema made it easy. She's always an very easy and excellent and fun person to chat with. So
yes.
we missed you, but we still had a great time.
Yeah, it was really good episode. So thank you. Thank you. Folks, if you'd like to be on checking in, you can contact Miranda, and it's an easy way to contact Miranda. You just search her name. Like
I'm the only one.
she's the only one,
That means
right?
I can't do anything and not get caught.
Oh, this is probably true. Yeah, you can't do that. Or you can contact me, send me an email, Leon at the Leon Thomas Group dot com. So Miranda, tell me something good. Tell me something groovy that's rocking on.
Well, 9 years ago today, I gave birth to my first child, my daughter, Mary Jane Elizabeth Lynch. She is 9 today. And I asked my husband, I said, "Do you remember what we were doing 9 years ago today?" And he said, "Yeah, you were telling me that we could go do your presentation and then go to the hospital and have the baby." And because I had a presentation that day, she came earlier than expected. And I did my hair and makeup, and I said, "Bring me to the presentation, I'll deliver, and then we can go and have the
Yeah.
baby." And he
Oh,
said, "You are out of your mind. We're going to the hospital now." And thank goodness we did.
yeah. Wow. And tell me your daughter's name again, please.
Her name is Mary Jane,
Mary Jane.
or MJ.
MJ. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. So everyone that's watching, put in the comments, happy birthday, MJ.
Yes.
Just do that. And now, Miranda, I have a special treat for MJ. If you get to say yes or no to this, a special treat.
I know what's coming.
You know what's coming?
Mhm.
So now, should I play? Happy birthday, MJ. Should I do it?
I, you know what? We'll call you later and get that private show.
Oh, okay. Okay. Message taken. You know, on another show I co-host called Wake Up Baltimore, where we talk about all the good things and good people that are in Baltimore and the great things that are happening. I host a show with Dr. Michael Zollicoffer. And folks, please Google that name, Michael Zollicoffer, to see the pieces that the ABC affiliate in Baltimore did on him, as well as the CBS Evening News. But every time I turn the chair this way, he goes, "No, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it," because he knows I'm reaching for the horn.
Reaching for the horn.
You
That
know?
that's gonna be your new catchphrase. Don't make me reach for the horn.
Ooh, I like it. Don't make me reach for the horn. So happy birthday again, MJ. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, do you have time to tell me something good on your end?
Here's what's good on my end. The Baltimore County Public Schools were the school district that most of the kids in the racquetball program. And the racquetball program, you can learn more about that by going to racquetballrevival.com. Youth racquetball in Baltimore, one of the largest youth racquetball programs in the country. We provide, of course, we teach kids how to play racquetball and they get pretty good at it. but also providing tutoring in English, math, Spanish, and next week starting in science.
Amazing.
The third quarter ended on last Thursday. And in looking at all of the kids' grades and reports from the schools, collectively, collectively, our kids had an increase of 0.75 in grade point average.
Amazing.
Is like really rocking good. We're really happy with that. Yeah. So
That's incredible. That could
build it
mean
at
the
that.
difference between passing and failing a subject,
Ab-
which could mean the difference
Absolutely.
for so many things. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Absolutely. So we're really happy with that. And so we'll be celebrating with the kids this week when they all show up at their private lessons and individual times and all. We'll show up with that. Now, for any of the kids and parents that may watch, please understand that does not mean you're going to get a free pass on the court. We're just going to suddenly let you win. Okay, you're winning in the classroom, but it's still on the court. So yeah, we're really happy with that. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. Incredible.
that's the story
Congratulations. You're
there.
doing
Thank
great
you.
work.
Thank you there, and thank you for your support. Thank you. Let's see, we have a guest today. Now, when we bring our guest on, he's in the background, he's in the green room, he's backstage right now. But the first thing I want to hear from our guest is, does he want to hear me play Happy Birthday on the trumpet? That's what I want to hear first. So
No
we're
name, no
no
introduction.
name, no introduction. I just want to hear it now. Will Darrah, go ahead. Tell us yes or no, me on the horn. What do you say?
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yes. Yes. He knows how to stay on the show. That's right. Right on.
Well, only if you get up and play that piano for us after.
One over there. We'll do a duet.
Awesome. I love it. So, Will, it is so great to have you here. Could you please share, for anybody who's not aware, who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Will Darrah. I'm based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm the chief commercial officer for a company called FreshAir Sensor. And who we are and what we do is we are a sensor technology. So we have a little sensor here. And that sensor can be created for a number of indoor airborne pollutants and contaminants, such as smoke odors, vape odors, marijuana odors, mold and mildew odors, overuse of cleaning chemical odors. So if you think about it, there's a lot of different use cases as to what we can identify and monitor for.
That's incredible. So, and you market this to all properties, just commercial, or is it private sale?
So we've been at this for over 10 years, and we were invented at Dartmouth in a chemistry lab by a molecular chemist. And interestingly enough, on this sensor, we actually inkjet a polymer coating that just it as a lock and key molecularly binds to the burning molecules in marijuana, tobacco, and vape. Now, who do we normally go after? A large majority of our audience is hotels and hospitality, but we also do operate in student housing, public housing, multifamily, and we may be getting into the car rental business here shortly.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Huh. So what brought you here? Because that's such a fascinating product, and you said it's been in the market for 10 years. That's incredible. You personally, tell us about you. What brought you here in your journey?
So my background is specifically hotel restaurant management. I went to school at University of Delaware. I graduated from the hotel restaurant school, and I still remember to this day one of my professors saying, "You are so smart, yet so stupid."
Wait, what professor?
I can't tell you their name, but there was actually two of them that told me this. They said, "You're so smart. You're graduating at the top of your class, but you're just in the wrong major. You're never going to make any money in hotel restaurant management. Nobody ever makes any money." Maybe think about pivoting. Go somewhere else. Go to finance, economics, be an architect. Go somewhere else. And I said, no, I'm going to make it. I'm going to figure out how to make it in hospitality. So I first started out actually at the Hotel DuPont in Wilmington, Delaware. And I wanted to be a revenue manager. And a revenue manager is a role in which you set the pricing of hotel guest rooms. So it is basically the elasticity of pricing of supply and demand based on guest demand. After that, I did that for about 2.5 years. And before sort of moving around the hotel, they said, well, you got to go run valet parking, and you got to go run the front desk, and you got to go to housekeeping. And so I really moved around the different areas of the hotel to be able to really understand all aspects of the hotel. Moving forward from there, I actually went and moved over to the technology side of things, selling technology to hotels. So after sort of mastering in revenue management, like who's your booking engine, where do you get the data from, who does paid search advertising, who does GDS, which is the global distribution system, advertising, who builds websites, I knew that there was a real opportunity to bring technology and travel together. And so I did that. I ran a career for 10 years at a company called TravelClick, in which we sold that company twice. And then my latest venture, when we went from TravelClick to Amadeus, which happens to be the largest hotel technology company in the world, I ran that company for about 4.5 years. Running that 15-year-long career and kind of selling all sorts of different technologies to hotels, I stumbled upon FreshAir Sensor, which I thought was a really new and innovative way to be able to solve a problem. And the problem is really odors in hotels. And if you really think about it, and I'm sure everybody has a story that they can tell, but have you ever checked into a guest room that smelled funky, smelled weird, smelled like smoke, but maybe there was like a potpourri of like a cleaning chemical masking that odor that you didn't really know what it was? Or maybe you stayed down at the beach and there's high humidity and high temperature, and maybe the seal on the door of the glass door is not so sealed. And so there's like humidity or some sort of dampness or wetness getting into your hotel guest room. Believe it or not, there's like this many solutions, 0, that actually monitor for and detect indoor air quality in guest rooms. And so when I met the 3 founders of FreshAir Sensor, I knew they were on to something. And what they were on before I got to the company, and they had massive market share in a lot of different areas, is really around detecting smoke in hotel guest rooms, detecting tobacco smoke, detecting marijuana smoke, and now we have vape smoke. And so if you think about it, it's really a blind spot for hotels. Every day we check guests in and out of hotel guest rooms, and we have no idea if the last guest smoked. We have no idea what sort of the side effects are if you're the next guest staying in that guest room after somebody smoked. Do you even know how a hotel cleans up a smoking event? You don't want to know. I will tell you. You're like, I do want to know. So believe it or not, so here's what happens. So when a guest smokes in a hotel guest room, not only is there's no secondhand smoke because you're not in there with them, but actually there's now third-hand smoke. So the third-hand smoke is that the smoke particulates and molecules fall onto the furniture, the FF&E, furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. So that falls onto all of the different furnishings in the hotel. Now, if it's really bad and somebody's been prolifically smoking for a long period of time, the only way to get that smoke odor out of that room is to paint and seal the walls, throw out all the furniture, throw out all your rugs, right? So in essence, it's a very large expense. Short term, the hotel has a way, they put an ozone machine in the room, and that ozone machine basically deadens the air and removes all of the good, both the good and the bad, out of the air. So if I put an ozone machine into your hotel guest room for like 4 to 5 hours before you're the next guest that arrives, believe it or not, you're actually walking into a guest room experience, which is not super healthy for the next guest who's coming in. And then when I ozone the air, I then overuse cleaning chemicals. Maybe it's eco-friendly, but you're going to get an overusage of cleaning chemicals, which will hopefully wipe out the smell of the last guest.
I feel like I just got a 3-credit seminar because I had no idea like that the ozone machines caused negative impacts. That's wow. So is the intent for the system to be used punitively to attach the cost of cleaning to the person who committed the damage?
So there's actually 2 opportunities that we see here. One is absolutely what you said, which was our device, which looks like this, sits on the wall, and we monitor for and detect molecules. And I'll get into the difference between molecules and particulates, but we detect at a molecular level the molecules in burned, tobacco, marijuana, and 3 different types of molecules in vape. When we detect those molecules in the room, they're very active and they're actually happening like in real time. So when we detect those molecules, we send discrete alerts to the hotel personnel that let them know that room 123 has started smoking. And you may want to be able to contact that guest and say, hey, I'd like to remind you, you are smoking in a non-smoking guest room. There is a fee that's associated with that. And therefore, our data, which there's a whole report, there's a time and a date stamped report, is able to be used to have a conversation with the guest and in chargebacks, in which if the guest says, nope, it wasn't me, I didn't do it, the hotel actually now can take a picture of the physical proof and evidence to be able to win those chargebacks. So again, the problem that we're solving here is if somebody smokes in a guest room and there's no picture to be had, because the guest cleans up the residue. Maybe there's no cigarette butts left in the room. There's no cigarette pack and they check out, but yet they leave that residual smell. Housekeepers have no way to take a picture. And the credit card companies will not acknowledge no evidence. And so really our data and our report becomes the evidence for when guests do smoke in a hotel guest room. And so that's the first opportunity that we have as far as our product goes.
Now let me ask you this. So I remember, and it's going to be a lie. Every show I tell a story, I rant a little. So I'm going to talk about smoking, non-smoking
Buckle
rooms.
in.
Yeah, buckle in. It's getting tight. So way back when I worked the front desk in the early to mid 80s, we didn't have smoking and non-smoking rooms. We had just a room, right? And then we took one floor of that Hampton Inn at the Pittsburgh airport that Craig Poole hired me to be the night auditor at. He was a previous guest on our show. And we took one floor, the 5th floor, and we made that the non-smoking floor. And it grew that every guest started, I want a non-smoking room, one non-smoking room. And if you sent a guest to a room that had been smoked in, they come back down and, right? And I can remember even traveling and staying at hotels that you could smell it, right? So, the hotel business, the industry has tried to accommodate and now say just about everywhere now, all rooms are supposed to be non-smoking, but we know that folks do smoke in the room. They smoke cigarettes, cigars, pipes, and other stuff, right? They're smoking in the rooms. Okay, so that's the first little piece. The second one is, I remember working for someone, Michael Harrell with Vista Host Hotel Management, and he would tell us, y'all are trying to cover up something because there's too much cleaning odor. I can smell it. What are you covering up? Because you're not doing your job cleaning. You're covering up
body.
something. Yeah, where is it? Right? When you knew he was coming to your hotel, the GMs went in like 2 days before to just walk in the room and go,
right.
If it was cigarettes, it was better than too much cleaning solution. It was better in his eyes. Okay. All right. Now that's the part. All right. So now your sensor goes off, sends a message to the front desk, the manager, whoever. You have to approach the guest the right way.
That's
What
true.
do we call them and say, "Yo, you smoking in the room? Better stop, or I'm gonna charge you 500." Who provides the training on how to deal with that? Because I mean, I was at a hotel Friday night where the staff was just, it was a beautiful place, nice people, but they didn't handle problems well. I can't
Hmm.
imagine my worst desk clerk, right?
Yep.
The worst person, not the good one, not the manager, calling and saying, "Yo, you smoking. We charging you. How do we handle that? Do you provide that training? Tell me what happens. What do you
Well, then
teach the
there's the other
hotels to
part of
do?"
it is I didn't smoke in the room. And then they say,
Yeah,
yeah, our report says you did.
yeah.
You calling me a liar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gets really interesting, eh?
Yeah.
So, yes, there is a standard operating procedure that we like to encourage our hotels to use. So, number one, not every hotel allows all of their staff to be able to communicate this very sensitive data, right, to the guest, right? There is a very sensitive way to handle this. Okay. Now, the intent of the data also isn't that you go to the guest room once the alert goes off. Sometimes hotels are not sure about new technologies. And so that's okay. Maybe for the first 30 or 45 days, you do go to the door, you do knock, you do ask questions, you do observe, you do walk into the room and see if you smell a smoke odor. And so we instead of you smell smoke in the hallway and the hotel walks up and down the hallway trying to sniff, is it this door, is it this door? Well, more guests around that door are now frustrated, likely even calling the front desk. I smell marijuana on my floor. It is not me, but I smell it. What are you going to do about it? And the front desk is very reactive to this issue. So the intent of the technology is to be proactive about the issue, know exactly where the behavior is happening. Yes, there's multiple ways that you can actually contact the guest. One way is, yes, calling and contacting the guest via phone and letting them know that we have a molecular sensor in the room that detects molecules in marijuana, tobacco, and vape, and it did go off in your room. I'd like to make sure that you understand we're a non-smoking hotel and we may have to send somebody up to investigate. Sometimes, so again, they know that you're on to them, but also realize this, it's happening after the first smoking event. Not that I've checked in for 3 days and I've smoked 7 times and I've created a large amount of damage, or possible the room might have to be taken out of inventory so somebody can't stay the next night because the room got smoked and there's really a strong sense of odor there. So that's kind of one way is, yes, you can contact the guest directly. Second way is we're using guest communication technologies like text messaging. And there's a lot of text messaging communications out there in which hotels are uploading the information into a Kipsu or a Canary or a Zingle or an Ivy and communicating that route to the guests. And it takes a little bit of that personal conversation off and just immediately contacting guests. And you'd be surprised, guess what? The guest doesn't pick up their phone in the room. So likely you're leaving a message on the answering machine, which puts the little light on in which, now they're calling back down. But regardless, you are correct that a conversation likely needs to be had. Now, here's another way that FreshAir backs up the hotel, right? Because it is a kind of a weird conversation. The guest comes down and says, let me see the data. I'm not familiar with the technology. Let me come down and see the data. You're able to print out a report of ours, which the first page shows that, yes, in fact, a time and date stamp of when the report went off. The second page shows what triggers an alert and what doesn't trigger an alert. And you'd be shocked to hear most guests have an excuse. It wasn't smoking. It was my hairspray. It was flatulence. My kids were playing around the device. It's got to be the hair dryer. I promise you, when I turn the heater on to the room, the heating furnace set the device off. All of these different excuses actually don't set off our device, because many of what I just told you is actually either a VOC spike or it's a particulate matter, which is not what our devices detect. We are the only sensor technology out there that actually detects the burning molecules found in nicotine, THC, and vape, which means it's very accurate and very specific. But let's just put that all aside. So the page 2 is what sets it off and what doesn't set it off. And again, we heard from hotels, we are having some challenging conversations. The 3rd page, we actually give a reference ID number where if you believe there's been a mistake to the data, you can go online, put in your reference number and your name, and that'll actually send off an email directly to our team of scientists, which will actually back up the hotel and discuss the technology further and re-look at that data with the hotel. And right, you've seen this in other use cases. If you break my wheel on my luggage at the airport, Leon, are you giving me $50 right here? No. You hand me a piece of paper that says, hey, I'm just the gate agent. There's a process that has to be followed. Here's your piece of paper with a reference ID number. And you can, this claim has already been opened and now you'll have to take it online from here. That's exactly what we're doing as well.
I can see where this would solve so much for our industry, but the top of my mind is, what are the legalities specifically with THC or marijuana use, specifically medicinal marijuana? Because I can foresee an instance where someone is using marijuana for medicinal purposes within their hotel room, you telling them, hey, I'm going to charge you, and then them hearing, I am going to punish you for taking your medicine.
Well, there's a lot of ways to take your medicinal marijuana. You can take edibles, which don't require smoking it, right? So, right, the policy is non-smoking hotel, non-smoking rooms, right? So in those instances, there's other ways for you to be able to take your medicinal THC and marijuana, and it doesn't not necessarily have to be smoked in the hotel guest room, which again, right, causes issues, causes damage for the guest, causes other guests around them to have to respond to it as well. So it's really around making sure that we're enforcing our non-smoking policies.
Gotcha.
But I'll give you another example of a way that we think about the technology that you might not be thinking about. So we've been in the gotcha business for over 10 years now, right? I send data and it's up to the hotel, right? We send data to the hotel to be able to take action should they choose. And there's a lot of things about that. Leon gambles $50,000 every time he goes to Vegas. We're not charging Leon. Okay. Hey, look, maybe you don't want to charge Leon. Miranda, she's an ambassador for Marriott. She spends 100 nights a year at Marriott. We're going to let her off. Hey, that's okay if that's what you choose to do. But I think there's a bigger play here that we're not all thinking about. 13% of people smoke in a hotel guest room. 87% of people, now Leon, I'm going to take you back to your story where everybody was smoking or non-smoking. Do you remember going to restaurants? They said, would you like to sit in the smoking section or the non-smoking section? And what was the difference? We sat right next to each other and there was like a low barrier and the smoke is billowing over the side. And yet you're like in the non-smoking part.
Right.
What? That made no sense.
Even airplanes too. It was like that on planes, right? You sat with all of that. Yeah, go ahead. Right on.
Exactly. So I actually believe that 87% of people now have a zero tolerance to smoking. Guests are more sensitive than they've ever been before. They're sensitive to the cleaning chemical smell. I own several Airbnbs. And I have guests reach out to me that say that they will break out in hives if I use Glade plugins or any of the essential oils that right, we believe help the place smell fresher. But in some instances, guests with sensitivities would like those to be removed. So it's the overuse of cleaning chemicals. It's the smoke smells, and it's the musty, the moldy, the odor. It could be stale air. Okay. So 87% of people have a zero tolerance to smoking. Would you pay money to be in a FreshAir certified room? Now, this room with our devices has not detected any overuse of cleaning chemicals, any smoke odors, any mold and mildew smells, and is a continuous monitoring 24/7, looking back at the data for the last 60 days, and gives Miranda and Leon a guarantee that that room has not been subjected to any of those common indoor irritants and contaminants. Would you pay an extra $10 per night? That is where I believe the bigger play is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know definitely as a parent, I wouldn't hesitate. Like, absolutely.
Yeah,
Whatever I can. And I think that that's a huge power play for marketing. If you're worried about your children, you're going to pay the extra $10. You're not going to bat an eye.
Absolutely. Will, can you hold the device up again, please? I want everyone to be able to take a good look at that.
Sure.
Yeah. Right.
And this is just so you can see where the sensor kind of goes in the back here.
Okay.
It plugs in like so. So there's 3 sensor cartridges. So it allows us to expand from just being vape to marijuana and tobacco to we're also working on various sensors like pet urine for anxious pets in the rooms. And then there's a motherboard that does a number of other different common indoor irritants and contaminants. And what we do is this is just a faceplate, right? We remove the current faceplate at a hotel. We have a tamper-proof cradle here. And so really it's undoing one screw. And then when you take the device and you plug it in like so, you still have access to the top and it's locked in and you can't get it off the wall. And so those sensors have to be changed once per year. But if you think about it, if we detect, right, the smoke odor smell, we can communicate with the hotel. If we detect high humidity, high temperature, mildew, that could go to engineering to be able to check the HVAC and things like that. If it's an overuse and spike of VOCs and cleaning chemicals, probably the executive housekeeper would want to know that information, right? So things like that, we can better communicate with various operational departments. We can help hotels charge those guests that are smoking in the guest room. And this device now becomes a health and wellness premium that can be applied to any guest room. So remember, this device is in 100% of the inventory. It is a low cost, high impact, high margin opportunity for all hotels to be able to profit.
I like it. I like it. And so hotels can, and hotel owners and companies can learn more about you at your website, right? That's FreshAirSensor.com.
That's
you
right.
Go there and learn more, and they can contact you, Will, directly, right? Will's email is will@FreshAirSensor.com. And we know, Miranda, we have a lot of hotel people that watch this show. Y'all, you've got to contact Will. This is hot.
Yeah.
You need to contact Will, but when you do, will you tell him you learned about it here on Checking In? Will you tell him that? So Will, like for the next 3 weeks, we'll take credit for next 3 months. For everybody that contacts you, just assume that it came from Checking In.
Absolutely.
Okay. Will you please?
I'll give you the attribution.
Yes, please do that. Now, Will, it's now time for our 2 signature questions of the show.
Are you ready?
I don't know. I've never seen the show. This is my first time in
Oh.
the 2-question hot seat.
Oh,
I know I'm in for a treat, I hear.
Oh, we have something for you.
Well,
Hey,
do you still have pens or writing apparatus in your vicinity possession?
yeah,
I know
do you
my
have a
students
pen?
don't come to class with things to write with, so
I do
Oh,
not.
because
I have my
search it.
phone that I can
because
take a note
apparently
in.
this is
Search it.
old technology.
And if you don't, kind of pretend that you do.
Okay, got it.
All right, here we go. It's time for the 2 signature questions of the show. Let's see that signature, Will. There it is. There it is, the 2 signature. Now,
That's
Will,
really
you said you went to school at the University of Delaware.
I did, yes.
And where's home? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Philadelphia, just right outside the city.
Right outside the city.
That's
I
right.
used to manage a hotel in Center City.
Oh, no kidding.
It was the Hawthorne Suites at 11th and Vine, connected to the Pennsylvania Convention Center.
Very nice.
Yes, it's now condominiums. Yeah,
Oh,
condominiums, but it's okay. Mr. Grasso took good care of me. He was a nice guy. Okay, so you went to school, University of Delaware. This question, and you're from Philly. I, I'm, I'm, I'm going to say I already know the answer to this question, but we're going to ask anyway. Have you ever had a Maryland crab cake?
are you kidding me? Of course I have. My family actually has a house in Maryland, right on the Chesapeake Bay. And they used to have like the crab shack where they would bring out the crabs and we would crack them all over the paper tablecloth. And so, yes, Maryland crab cakes are delicious and one of the best.
Okay, good,
You
good.
pass.
Good, you check, and that's what I thought the answer would. I didn't know about,
Good.
my family had a house in Maryland. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting any of that, but I figured Philadelphia, went to school at UD, you had to have a Maryland crab cake. Okay, that's question number one.
Okay.
All right. Question two: have you ever had bean pie?
I have not had a bean pie. I don't know what a bean pie is.
Okay, because it's not real. It's not a real thing. This is some myth that Leon has been trying to tell me. Just yeah, no.
Is it
Thank
like
you.
a bean and cheese thing? Like an
Uh,
enchilada type
It's
or like
like
a
a
It's really
native,
burrito?
it's made of navy beans, and it's in a pie. It looks like a potato pie or a pumpkin pie. It's there, and you grew up in Philly. I'm sure you've seen the Nation of Islam on street corners selling the Final Call newspaper and bean pie.
I
Miranda
can't say
doesn't
I
think it.
have. I cannot say I have.
Even if you haven't, I still want folks to go to your website. Okay, I want folks to go to FreshAirSensor.com. All right,
Which, if we get a bean pie, we will go live on Fresh Air Sensor and eat one right there on FreshAirSensor.com. And
done,
Leon.
Leon will get to watch me eat and try a bean pie.
done, done. Done. We will do this. You've got to get a bean pie. Okay. All right. Now, those are the two questions, but there's actually three questions. So Miranda has the third one.
Yeah, mine's a little bit easier. So I'll wrap us up with this, Will. If you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self one piece of advice, pearl of wisdom, affirmation, anything, what would it be?
Buy more real estate.
Hmm.
I would buy as much real estate as I possibly could get my hands on. And here's why I'll say that. Um, so when I went to college at University of Delaware, I remember writing a check every single month for $500 for my room and handing it to Bob Stern, my landlord at the University of Delaware. And he had three houses across the street from each other. Now, it's very prolific lawyer in Delaware, but he had these three houses. And when I read my lease, I had to mow his lawn, and I had to like we had to take care of that, mow his lawn, take out the trash every month. He had to walk through the house. I was like, I feel like I work for this guy and I have to pay him. I want to be like Bob. So long ago, I said, I want to be like Bob. And so, you ready for this? When I graduated school and people said, Will, you'll never make any money in hotel restaurant management. You just won't make it. I said, okay, I'm going to save as much money as possible, live as poor as possible for as long as possible, and save as much money as you can, and just try to get in the game. And so when I got in the game, I bought my first house at University of Delaware probably about 18 years ago. I went on to buy 4 more houses after that. I'm up to a portfolio of 14 houses now. I have a budding Airbnb business where I check 60 people in per night, and I own the asset, and I design the house, and they're paying me. And so if you
And
think
you're
about it,
making them take out the trash, right?
and what's that?
You're making them take out the trash.
Absolutely. In the Airbnb description, make sure you lock the doors and turn off the lights and take out the trash, right? Like, no, but yes. Again, I think that like when I look back, right, it's never too early to think about buying real estate. Real estate is usually pretty good over the long run in terms of producing opportunities for you, a lot of tax advantages, a lot of leveraging other people's money. I think there's a lot of great opportunities in real estate. And if you're in hospitality, there's the dual opportunity of, when you run a hotel, what business are you really in? You're in the real estate business. You, working at a hotel, create a dividend for a hotel owner. That's what you are. That's what you do. That it's a real estate asset that produces a dividend, and in time that hotel gets sold to somebody, right? Well, you at a smaller scale could buy a piece of property, renovate the piece of property, rent that piece of property, which creates a dividend for you, and at some point in the future, sell the asset. So really, are you in the hospitality industry, or are we in the real estate industry? And also, this will be hitting my Airbnbs, all of my properties, in about, I don't know, 30 or 60 days. I will be installing FreshAir Sensor devices in Airbnbs. And when I think about, again, technology in Airbnbs, you've got FreshAir sensors, which can detect and monitor for smoking events. You've got Ecobee thermostats, which can be your smart comfort setting thermostats. You've got your Schlage or your Google Nest devices, which are your touch codes. You got your Ring cameras at the front door. So when you think about setting up an Airbnb, this is the type of technology that will help you monitor your property and make sure that, things are on the up and up.
This has been not only a great conversation, but very educational. Thank you so much, Will, for being here with us.
Yeah. Will,
Happy to
thank
join
you.
you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for
Again,
having
go
me.
to FreshAirSensor.com to learn about this air sensor. You got to check it out. That's all I can tell you. FreshAirSensor.com. Contact Will directly. Blow up his email. Blow it up. Will at FreshAirSensor.com. And
If you have a
Will,
question about fresh air, real estate, college, life in general,
he's got it all.
but just don't ask me about bean pies yet,
There
because
you go.
I have no idea what Leon is talking about.
Man, wow. We have to get bean pies out. Miranda, I think we should make this a part of the thank you to every guest now.
A bean pie.
A
Please
bean
send me a bean
pie.
pie.
A bean pie. You could buy it for like $3.89 at Safeway, and
Well, you're
it's
going to
gonna.
have to get them because I don't think they're real enough. Never seen one.
Okay, we'll see. It's coming. Will, thanks so much for being with us. We'll meet you backstage in the green room. So once we sign off, we'll meet you back there. Don't go away. We'll talk some more.
Thanks so much, Leon. Thanks, Miranda.
Miranda, who knew?
I've learned so much.
Yes, me too. Wow. And I just think, to be fresh air certified, that
Yeah,
is
that's pretty
outstanding.
cool. I
Yeah,
didn't
that
even
is
know that that was a
awesome.
possibility. So
Yes.
that's very cool.
That's awesome. So I hope all of our hotel friends contact Will and check out their site, and we'll do something to get the bean pie off to everybody that's ever come on the show. Folks, if you'd like to be on the show, you can email me, Leon at theleonthomasgroup.com, and you can also contact Miranda.
Google me.
Just Google her name. It's right there. That's all you do. And if you know of someone that would be a great guest on this show, tell them to contact us. So we really want to get it rocking and let people tell their stories and talk about the products that they have to offer. We're here to help, here to spread the word. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Miranda, I'll see you next week.